Well, the Colorado Supreme Court is now deciding whether to strike down a controversial school voucher program. The program allows students in one county to use taxpayer money to attend private and religious schools. So how the state Supreme Court rules could impact every school-age kid in Colorado. Let's bring in now David Schwartz and Keisha Hebben. Both are defense attorneys and former prosecutors. And let's get right into this discussion. David, I'm going to start with you, and I want to find out if you could first tell us what's at stake here in terms of legal precedent that could be set with this case.
Look, every child is entitled to an education, a public education, but you're not entitled to a private education, a religious school education. So the idea of taxpayer money being used to fund private education would set a huge precedent here, and it really would be a sliding scale after a while.
So obviously you are taking the side of being against this particular.
I am against it, yes. I don't think any taxpayer funds should be used to fund a private school education or a religious school education, which brings up the whole issue of church and state, the separation of church and state.
Well, how does it bring that up?
Oh, well, clearly because it's violation of the Constitution, Colorado Constitution, because you're funding a religious organization.
Yeah, but you
taxpayer
know,
money
in most places, the Catholic schools or whatever religious schools, they are the ones with the better education.
Right. They have smaller class sizes. There's less discipline, distractions, because a lot of times in the public schools, the teachers are spending so much time disciplining the students that it's distracting or taking away from educating the good students. But I think that this case is actually a good thing because it's giving good students or students who are doing well a better opportunity. The goal is more about better education. It's not so much of pushing religion or spending money on religious things, because I went to Catholic school, but I'm not Catholic. It was more so to get a better education.
I went to Catholic school, and I am Catholic.
There are so many funding sources to go to Catholic school. It doesn't cost a lot of money to go to Catholic school.
That's not true.
It doesn't cost half as much as a private school. I mean, there's plenty of cheaper option Catholic schools. But the bottom line is,
but compared to public school,
money,
Catholic school is a lot. A lot of kids can't afford to go to Catholic school.
Okay, but the bottom line is taxpayer money shouldn't be meant to fund that. There are plenty of other private scholarship opportunities to fund that. We have to keep a separation of church and state, and the taxpayer money should go towards the public schools.
Well,
I mean, listen, I understand, Keisha. There are people out there saying, listen, I pay taxes.
Right.
I'm not there to have my taxpayer money go towards some kids who maybe got a bad hand dealt to them. It's not my responsibility to send them to a private school. It's my responsibility to send my child to a private school. However, does it matter at all that this is supposedly a scholarship voucher?
I think that makes a big difference because the students are actually earning this opportunity. And one thing to keep in mind about the cost is that they're taking the taxpayers' dollars that normally would be spent in the public school and saying, let's put this in a private school. And from my understanding, public school teachers make more than private school and Catholic school teachers or religious school teachers. So they may actually spend either the same or less than what they would spend on the public school education.
What was that argument about? So what if the teachers make the same versus
because he's stating, well, I know in the article it stated that they're taking taxpayers' dollars. The lawyers who are arguing for this is stating it may cost the residents less because they're spending money to send them to the private schools instead of putting it into the public schools. But it may cost the taxpayers less per child if you look at the breakdown.
This could destroy the entire public school system because when you look at it, the fixed costs stay the same to run a public school. You're still paying the teachers, you're paying for maintenance of the building. So this whole argument that somehow it costs less to send these kids to private school is a fictional argument because you're still paying the same amount of money. Now you're paying more money, more taxpayer money to fund someone to go to private school. It's just, it's a violation of the Colorado Constitution to spend this money on it, and you're looking at a situation where you could completely defund the public school system.
I don't think that'll happen. I think it's more about providing better education opportunities, which will, in the end result, benefit the whole state and provide better adults that graduated from these good schools and go on to better colleges.
And I just want to make a point as to that. We have there are some great public schools out there. I'm a product of the New York City public school system.
What happened, David?
You know, and I have to say that there's some great public schools. There are great teachers everywhere, and it's not such, it's not such a benefit sometimes to go to private school.
But these test results are showing that the public schools are failing a lot of kids, predominantly in inner cities where the kids don't have the better education, where teachers don't want to teach in those neighborhoods. So there is a failure
so
going on.
there's the incentive to get better teachers in those schools where the kids are at a disadvantage, and give them the better education.
Right, but a lot of the teachers don't want to work in those schools because they're afraid, or they feel, I don't want to, you know.
So then how do you fix that? There's a problem right there.
That's a huge problem. Fix the crime rates.
You got to fix the schools.
The conditions.
That's why the schools need money to fix them. But getting back to the legal point.
And wrap it up, I gotta go.
Wrapping it up, the bottom line is the taxpayers shouldn't be funding someone else's private school education.
I disagree, but we'll see what the Supreme Court rules on this.
I have so much more to say, but I'm out of time, and I appreciate the conversation. David Schwartz, Keisha, Heaven, thanks to both of you. And if you want to tweet me about it, I already threw it out there, so I'd like to hear your opinion. By the way, I did not state an opinion, because don't blast me. I don't want to hear it. Just saying. Hey, Eric, back to you.
All right, when they blast out, yeah, I know.